think social inclusion is a very useful concept in its own right, because it includes the traditional concept of poverty, but it goes beyond just poverty. Poverty has the disadvantage that it tends to denote Charles Dickens' pictures of children in rags, and it focuses too much on the purely economic dimension, and although that's fundamental, social inclusion is also about participation, the capacity to participate in the larger society. It's also about the well-being of individuals and families, not just their economic well-being, but their social, emotional, cognitive development more broadly understood. So at the end of the day, we can't afford not to have a focus on social inclusion in Queensland, and it's the best economic investment we could make. Queensland needs to invest more in an early intervention and primary prevention system if it cares about its own future. There's an overwhelming body of scientific evidence internationally that getting in early, working upstream, is far more cost effective, it's more humane, and actually better in the long run for the whole community. We can do better, and we know how to do better. There are many proven examples now of programs that involve family support. They involve strengthening the links between families and schools. It involves direct support for families, holistic support for families and for communities in special need, and particularly those living in poverty or in areas where they're very, very socially and physically isolated. This is fundamentally important if we care about the future of Queensland. And if we care about our own hip pockets at a time of fiscal crisis and potential austerity, we should be ensuring that the money we spend doesn't all go into that crisis care. I mean, that's important in its own right, but we could get 10 times the value by doing constructive, long-term, focused work with children, families, young people, communities, schools, before these problems emerge or before they become entrenched. It's a lack of resources, but it's also a lack of integration. It's the lack of a commitment to a holistic approach. It's actually seeing the outcomes for children in the broad context of the child's family, its community, its school, its ethnic links, and all of the other aspects of what I call the developmental system, which shapes the kind of children and young people that we're producing in our society. It's not just a matter of interagency, it's not just a matter of getting all the services working effectively together, although that's hard enough. It's about making the focus on the well-being of the child or the family or the young person over time, and assembling all the resources that are needed in order to make that happen.
If I could end homelessness, I'd take the stigma away for a start, because you just never know if it's going to be you next. You really don't. I would build lots of houses, but I'd give the people support when they went into those homes, because sometimes you've still got them issues, that got you in that situation in the first place, whether it be domestic violence, whatever it be. They need support.
The action plan needs to address the administration burden that happens at the moment. In the organisation I work in, we report to 10 different government departments, and there is significant intense labour spent on how reports are prepared in several different formats. We found in our exit interviews with staff in the last financial year that the reason that 70% of those exiting left was for higher wages. They were unable to meet their financial commitments based on the rates of pay they were receiving. For clients, because the demand is still there, it means oftentimes having to wait longer for services, or it also means that sometimes group work has to be offered instead of really intense one-on-one support, and it really takes from the quality of the service that can be offered. It's really important to value the sector. People do good quality work, and several of the other initiatives that are part of our strengthening non-government sector have no weight in them unless the staff are paid good salaries that value their work.